In this video we will share an extensive overview of what it costs to build our expedition truck camper. We get many questions about the cost of our container home. So this video is for those who are curious or for those who are building any kind of tiny home, expedition truck or camper. And we hope it will entertain, help or inform you. I will start with a very quick overview of how much it costs to build our container tiny home on wheels. After that we will have a detailed look on each part of the build. Together we will dive in the data and show it could have been cheaper. Much cheaper. You will be surprised. I sure was. So, it hurts a bit. I'm still proud of the home on wheels that I made. So, quick overview. Here we go. Total spend was 105,000 euros, including taxes. That equals $120,000 or 90,000 pounds. The truck we bought at 21k, that's 20% of the budget. Electrics was 16k, that's 15%. For various equipment we paid 13k. The container was 11k, 10k for windows and doors, for everything we built on the roof, that's another 10k. For everything we built inside, 10,000 euros. Various items, 8k. And everything related to water we spent another 6k. And now you might say, why did you pay a whopping 11k for a container? Or 16k for electrics? For answers to those questions and much more, we invite you to stay watching. It's totally crazy, right? Before we dive in all the data, I want to share my basic design choices that influence the cost of the build. I think this can help you in fine-tuning your design and budget. What is important to you? First off, I designed it to be autonomous. And that means, for instance, extra investment in water purification. Second, we wanted it to be a hotel on wheels with accommodation for 6. And that just means more of everything. And I wanted it to easily operate all over the world. So no gas for cooking, for instance. Next to my design choices, there are 3 other cost influencers. It was a one-person DIY on a public parking lot. And that means no weather protection, no storage, no nothing. And I had little building experience.
Damn. It scared the hell out of me.
Thank God for YouTube. I will leave a link in the description below so you can have a look at our time-lapse videos. All of the above influenced my cost, but the biggest cost influence came from COVID. As an example, I would like to show you the price increases for wood and container shipping. It's totally crazy, right? And now we have these crazy trade wars, so similar things could happen again. My message is to give these topics some thought before designing or budgeting your build. And with that out of the way, let's dive in all the data that I've accumulated for you. So, let's first have a look at the total cost. And for that, I would like to introduce our cheaper, much cheaper counter. With this counter, we will show you the realistic amount of money that this expedition truck could have been built for. Stay tuned for that, because you will be surprised. So my starting budget was 100,000 euros. And I managed to build it all for 105,000 euros. So that's almost within the budget. Quite proud of that. Sadly, it did take me 1.5 years of full-time building. That's half a year longer than I originally planned for. So when taking into account all these hours, you could say the actual costs were around 200k. But hey, let's pretend that those costs can be written away as part of the journey. In that case, our total costs without labor were 105,000 euros, or $120,000 or 90,000 pounds at current conversion rates. That is including taxes. Taxes? Ah, taxes. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's have a look at the details, starting with the cost of the truck. I bought the truck for 21k. That was about 1/5 of the budget. And it is a very basic but solid Mercedes Atego 1218. No airco, only 180 horsepower, but it is an automatic with cruise control and well over 14 years old. But with a very low mileage. Also, no off-road features like 4x4, a winch or a diff lock. But the 2 biggest benefits for me were that the truck was already built for container transport and had 6 seats. And I believe 21k is a relatively low price for a base vehicle. But likely you'll want something stronger and more capable, resulting in a higher price. I know, we would love that. So, let's have a quick look at vehicle prices. There's a big market of former military vehicles and these prices are going down a bit, it seems. And also partially completed conversions can sometimes be picked up for a very reasonable price. During COVID, many people wanted to buy or build a camper. Just keep in mind that all those COVID purchases are now coming back to the market. So my conclusion is that with a bit of time, haggling and research, I think you can go down to about €15,000 for a basic base vehicle. Do you think that's unrealistic? Are you looking for a vehicle and you can't find it or something else? Just let us know below in the comments. Perhaps we can help. But for now we think it is realistic that we can lower the required budget with 6k cheaper. Much cheaper. And now we have a look at the container. It is a 20 feet low cube shipping container. A low cube container is less high than a regular container. And that was important for both my design and the maximum height of 4 meters. Then looking at cost. I bought the container for 6k and paint and welding was 5k. So the total spent was a staggering 11k. That's 10% of the budget. And I think I got ripped off. But perhaps you would need a bit of background info for that. I wanted a fresh and new container. And almost all new containers are built in China. And during COVID, almost all container traffic came to a halt, resulting in extremely increased prices. But I really needed to start my build. So I closed my eyes and just bought it. And for those who are wondering, I have looked at other options as well, like a sandwich panel box or a reefer. But these were much more expensive, or not possible, since my design required the strength and the height of a low cube container. So the container was the best option for me, especially with a truck that was already built for container transport. And now looking at the current situation on the container market. You can buy a used container for 1.2k or a new one for 2.7k. Paint and welding can also be cheaper when you shop around or do it yourself. So I think realistically you can have a container for about 6k. Cheaper. Much cheaper. This still hurts a bit, to be honest. And with that out of the way, we move on to windows and doors. For windows and doors, I decided to go for a supplier called Outbound. They are Dutch like me and they are a budget option. Mind you, they are still expensive. But hey, I wanted to have proper double glazed windows for both security and insulation purposes. But to be honest, I'm quite sure I would not buy Outbound products again. They just refuse to give install advice or quality review their delivered product. And the integrated blinds / mosquito nets they call Rollos, they are just terrible and overly expensive. So, with that out of the way, let's have a look at costs. Total cost for windows and doors was 10k. That's 9% of the budget. Of that, I spent 5k on 6 windows and 2.5k on 6 Rollos. And another 2k on 1 door and then a bit of cash on glues, etc. So, how would I save money on my next build? First, let's look at the Rollos. Did I already say they are terrible? You can buy 6 simple Rollos for about €700. And these are not great also, but much cheaper. Same for windows. You can get 6 of them for about €1,800. And then create your own insulation and a security bar. And that would have saved us another 5k. Cheaper. Much cheaper. So, I can imagine you would need more information on Outbound products or windows in general. If so, just drop a question in the comments and we'll get back to you. Added to that, I would like to ask you to subscribe, leave a like, and perhaps hit the bell notification button. Please do so when you think this video is entertaining or helpful. It would help us big time, and it should be a relatively small effort for you. A big thanks in advance. And now let's continue with the roof build. Let's just be honest. What we built on the roof might be a bit over the top. Cheeky, but we did build our hotel on wheels. And we think a rooftop tent and terrace are amazing. But likely you will not need much on the roof. So you could reduce costs big time. Just a bit of aluminium tubing that holds the solar panels and act as a branch guard could be enough. And that could save you about 9k. Cheaper. Much cheaper. But when you insist on having the roof terrace and tents, Here's our cost breakdown. The two tents cost 6k, the aluminium tubing a bit over 2k, and the composite floorboards a bit under 2k. Finish that off with about 600 euros worth of support beams. To complete this topic, I would like to share two more things. First, the roof terrace also acts as an umbrella or a sunshade, keeping the heat of the sun out. And that's perfect. And the second thing is that we really like to sit on top of the roof terrace. So when you would not do the roof tents, I would still advise to have some sort of roof terrace, one way or another. And now, let's have a look inside. For the inside overview, I'm only including the things I built myself. Let's say cheeky. So in this part you will not find electrics or appliances, just insulation, the kitchen, the cabinets, and so on. And let's be honest straight away, I do not expect you can save much money on the inside build when you want the same sort of result. Sure, you can do reclaimed stuff and that will look amazing and can be cheaper, but it can take ages to collect and you will need ample storage as well. But hey, the fun thing is that you can do it any way you want. And let's now see where I spent my money on. I spent 2k on the Ikea kitchen. That's cupboards, sink and drawers, etc. 2k on the insulation. Very happy with that. 1.5k on wall panels. 1.5k on glue and paint. 1.5k on wood for inside construction. 1k on the Ikea storage cabinets. And 0.5k on the couches. And taking COVID pricing into account, I think you could save about 2k on everything. Cheaper. Much cheaper. So there you go, that's the inside build. And now let's have a look at the electrics. I think you will be amazed. I realized that electrics is always a hot topic. So before we dive in all the wiring and equipment, I would like to say this. Please feel invited to leave your comment below the video on anything you like or don't like, or ask questions on things you don't understand or like to have more information on. It's free to ask anything and perhaps it can help to clarify things for you and others. I will certainly reply to every question and comment. One thing though, keep it civilized, factual and honest. I know you are out there, you Victron fanboys. So, let's start with electric. And how on earth did I spend 16k on that? It was 15% of my total budget. And that is absolutely crazy. I think now this could easily have been done for about 6k. Cheaper. Much cheaper. And I will tell you how. For this part of the video I need to say there were three main factors influencing the cost. First, I thought it was smart to have a 24 volt system like my truck. 12 or 48 volts is cheaper. Please, don't ask why. Second, many were building a camper during COVID and imports were difficult. So many times my best match on equipment was sold out. 3. I was building a hotel on wheels and I wanted to be fully autonomous. So I wanted to be sure that I have enough power, always. Overcapacity rules, baby. With that out of the way, let's see where I spend it all and where we can save big time. The first big chunk of 8k, that's 50% of the electric budget, got spent on a battery. And not just any battery. It is a repurposed Tesla car battery with a whopping 21 kilowatt hours of capacity, a steel case and its own battery management system. Overcapacity rules, baby. But experience has taught me that when you are no hotel on wheels, you really don't need that much capacity. So I would say that 4 lithium 12 volt 100 amp hour batteries in series would be just fine. That's still almost 5 kilowatt hours of capacity. And yes, there's so much more info behind this statement and the whole electric topic. But let me tell you, it's impossible to cover all the details, the choices and the mistakes I made on electrics in this video. Believe me, I tried. And it's worth a video of its own. So I decided to make a separate video about electrics, where I go much deeper into the subject. In that video I will also share my energy balance and what I do and do not like about my setup. When you are interested in that type of information, please make sure to subscribe so you'll not miss the video when it comes out. So, back to the batteries. 4 Reno G batteries with BMS and the crappy readout system you would need would cost a bit under 1k. And that already saves a whopping 7k. Cheaper. Much cheaper. Then to wiring and fuses, etc. I spent over 3k on that. It is for both the 24 volt and the 220 volt system. And it also includes switches and fuse boxes and all sorts. There's so much more to say here as well. But bottom line is that I decided to go for bigger is better and safer. Overcapacity rules, baby. So I just took maximum cable diameters, like a 150 mm2 battery cable. And the big cables also require heavy fuses and heavy switches and so on. And now I believe this could have been done for half the price. It's just a matter of calculating the right wiring needs and going to a 48 volt system. So here we can save 1.5K cheaper, much cheaper. Then looking at the Victron Multiplus II, the 5000 watt model that I bought for 2K. So now I can run a hot water kettle, the induction stove and the washing machine all at the same time. But do I need it? With real life experience, I don't think so. The 3000 watt version would have been just fine, which would have been half the cost, saving another 1K. Cheaper, much cheaper. Then looking at the other Victron equipment. I have a massive MPPT charger, a Orion, a smart shunt and a Servo GX. Together that was about 1.7K. And here I could save money with smarter choices, like separate smaller MPPTs. Sadly they were not available when I was building. And I do not see the benefit of a smart shunt, especially when your battery has its own proper BMS. So that saves at least another 0.5K cheaper, much cheaper. And I paid around 1K for about 1000 watts of solar power. And that includes all the materials for my setup. And perhaps you could go a bit cheaper, but I'm quite happy with my wind deflector and roof terrace solution. So let's keep this as is. So to round everything up, I spent 16K on everything electric. But realistically, and without COVID, it could have been 6K. That's a realistic saving of about 10K without losing much functionality. It hurts a bit sharing this with you. And you want to know more about all that pain? Then please remember to subscribe. A video all about electrics and energy use that's coming up. We still have 3 topics to go, and now we will have a look at the cost for plumbing and everything related to water. Total cost was 6K, that's 6% of the total. Let's start with pipes and valves, which set me back almost 2K. I chose for a system with flexible hoses and fixed endpoints, this to avoid issues with vibration. I used many valves, so I can shut down every part of the installation separately. That could be less. And I made a couple of mistakes buying the wrong stuff. So I expect you could save about 0.5K on pipes and valves, and you would still be fine. Next up is my water filtration system. I have a 3-step filtration system with UVC, and it is amazing. Honestly, it even filters out nasty flavors like chloride. But there are smaller, less powerful and cheaper systems available. So you could get those and save 0.5K. Other costs are 1.1K on water tanks, 0.7 on a macerator toilet and pumps, 0.6 on taps and their connections, and finally a 10-liter hot water boiler for 0.4K. Perhaps you can get things a little bit cheaper left and right. But let's leave it at this. So, only 1K less cost expected here. Cheaper. Much cheaper. And now, let's continue with equipment. This part is a bit of a mix of everything. So let's see what's in here. I bought steps and ladders for 2.6K. And this was just stupid and way too much. I bought telescope ladders. And they are just not fit for outside wet work. And I have more ladders because I built a hotel on wheels with rooftop sleeping accommodation. So, bottom line, realistically this should have been 0.6K. Various equipment is all sorts, like a generator and Wi-Fi. Let's leave that as is. But the oven and cooktop, we will not leave as is. I bought a diesel oven and cooktop from Wallas. And this is boating equipment. On the boat they do not want gas. It is more dangerous and less available, so they use diesel. This I understand. And the Wallas equipment has other benefits as well. But spending 4.7K on that might be just a bit too much. Gas powered equipment would cost 1K, saving 3.7K. Then the fridges. I bought 2 220 volt ones. But a less expensive one would be enough, saving 0.8K. And this topic is getting crazier and crazier. So, let's continue with the washer dryer. I thought that a dryer function would be amazing, but the heat pump of the dryer uses massive amounts of water to cool. So in reality we do not use that function at all. And we dry our clothes in the cab, and that could have saved another 0.6K. And on the lights we could have saved a bit as well. So in total we could save 6K on all the equipment, and that's a massive save. Cheaper, much cheaper. And last but not least, we have the various category. In here I put in all sorts of small purchases I could not link to one specific category. Let's just say we could have saved another 2k and be done. Cheaper. Much cheaper. So now we have come to the conclusion. And for that I would like to show the graph for the cost I made and the graph for the cost I could have made. So instead of 105k, my container home could have been made for 59k without losing much functionality. That's 44% less. And does that make me feel sad or disappointed? To be honest, it does not. I'm still proud of the home on wheels that I made, with the ability and the knowledge that I had then. And for me, that's a great conclusion. Anyone buys or builds the thing he or she can get, with the budget, the time and the experience of that moment. And I hope that with my time and my experience, you can now get something for less budget. And for the curious people, I hope you're satisfied. Now you know what I spent on my amazing and unique tiny house expedition truck. And when this has helped you, please have a look at the options below the video. Perhaps buy us a coffee or become a member. And perhaps this can help us to get back a bit of the excess costs that we made. Thanks for watching and sticking around until the end. Please subscribe and leave a like so we can see each other in the next video. And we hope to see you then. Bye bye.